Hey, I'm Lisa,
And I'm Cryss.
and we're a Knit Sheep Knitting and Crochet podcast.
I don't know why you said it so fast.
That's where we're at. Crystal just said that I have a little bit of chaos energy today.
Y'all have no idea. It took us 10 minutes to just start recording because
I don't have chaos energy.
how much caffeine have you had today?
I haven't had enough. I only had a cup of coffee.
Haven't had enough, dude. Okay.
I
She doesn't recognize any amount of caffeine as being too much.
Oh, no. That one time I put the espresso in the coffee and I felt like I was going to take off, like actually leave the ground at any moment. That was too much.
Lisa, you shouldn't like speedball caffeine. Like that's.
I was like, oh, let me try it because they were advertising like a sidecar special. So I just got the sidecar of espresso with my coffee, and I could actually feel my blood moving through my veins. Okay. It was amazing. I was like, oh, it's a little terrifying.
That's not okay.
Yeah, that's why I never did it again.
Okay,
it was a little scary. Okay, I was like, oh my. But anyway, that's my coffee adventures. So I've only had a single cup of coffee today, and I usually have at least a cup of coffee and a cup of tea. And I think I should have had the tea. It would have calmed me down.
I don't think that's what it does, but okay.
And Crystal was perturbed by my unicorn.
See, and what? So we're just gonna like throw out the unicorn pen.
I love this pen. It's my favorite pen.
Okay.
It has a nice weight in the hand.
Dollar Tree is the devil.
It
is. That'd probably be $1.25 today.
I'd be mad because it was $1 when I bought it. I was just thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do when it finally runs out of ink because there's no way to change the ink.
If you just don't put it on your head, I'll be happy.
Oh, yeah. I've never worn it on my head. It doesn't have a strap or anything.
That's the issue.
Clearly, I've thought about it. So what are you wearing today, Crystal?
So I'm mostly finished with my vest. I have a little bit of finishing work to do. I'm hiding some strings.
You know what? It's just us and our people here. You don't have to
like the bottom edge. I'm trying to decide if I want to either A, add more rows, or B, take it out and do it again with a larger hook. Mm-hmm. So right now I have a ball of yarn in my pocket. That's like what's hanging off of the bottom edge. That's okay though. But yeah, so this is my vest with like my intarsia. Can you see my intarsia? Do you see that intarsia? Oh my god, because that's intarsia.
That is totally intarsia.
And I did that. That was me. Intarsia. I like it. You know what? It's not bad as far as like color work goes. I didn't have a lot of trouble with it. And I love how it came out. And I can't believe how well this yarn. So the purple here is Cusco Cashmere from Plymouth. And I think it's basically my dream yarn, right? Because it's cashmere and merino and mulberry silk, I think. And then a little nylon. So it's like Mia's ball yarn. And I've had this in my stash for ages. But the purple it goes so well. So this is the multicolor, the Rainbow Beach.
Yeah, from Queensland Rainbow Beach.
Yeah. And the two purples seem to go together so well. I couldn't even believe it. I was like really, really excited. Because remember, if y'all haven't been with me for a minute, I was going to do a vest and it was all just going to be plain because like up here is just some post stitching. Mm-hmm. The whole vest was just going to be plain post stitch. And then I wake up one morning and I'm like, intarsia. And that was it. That's what happened. That's how this section of the vest happened.
So this is the second version of this.
Right.
If you want to see what the first version looks like, go back to last week's video because she still had it like existing at that moment.
Yeah, because I had to rip it out to, finish. I needed the yarn back. So at one point I had two fronts because I did the intarsia section differently and it was just like really boring the first time around. I was like, no, let's be a little bit more adventurous. So I made different rectangles from the last ones I made. That was my big adventure. But it was just like 3 color blocks before. And now I have just kind of a little cute little checkerboard.
Yeah.
And I think it goes so much better.
It's just more interesting and it has more rhythm now, I think. I really like this version better.
So I'm really happy with how it came out. and I put together a few outfits today. I was just kind of playing around with it, seeing how, it fit into my wardrobe, and it fits very well. I mean, it's a seamless integration.
Seamless.
But, I make things to wear them. So I like to see, how they go with things I already have. That's like really important to me. And I've been trying to add purple. Purple is my favorite color, but for some reason, I don't buy it a lot in stores. But I do buy a ton of purple yarn.
Yes.
So I'm adding purple to my wardrobe by making purple things as opposed to buying purple things. And so I was like, well, I don't have a lot of purple, and how is this all going to fit? But so far, it's been going great.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy. I like the yarn, the Queensland Rainbow Beach. It's a nice yarn. It's just a basic super wash wool. It was really easy to work with. I love the color gradient. Yeah, it's a sport weight. I like working at sport weight. It's just like just that tiny hair faster than when you're working in fingering weight, but it still doesn't give you too much bulk.
Yeah, I do like that. And crochetist out there, have you guys done a lot of intarsia? Because I don't see a lot of patterns for crochet intarsia.
I did a search on Ravelry, and I use intarsia as one of my criteria for the search, and I got like 1 page of results. But Nomad Stitches is coming out with a book, and she has some intarsia patterns in there. I think her book is all color work, but different techniques, and she has some intarsia patterns in there.
Cool. But love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm very, very happy.
And her fuzzy sweater is actually on the blocking boards right now.
Yeah, so that is like done, like ends woven in, blocked. Like that one's actually, it's still just a tiny little bit damp, but that one's done. It will require no further work. I'm trying to get into the habit of weaving in my ends sooner, because I can have something sitting around with ends in it for months. It's ridiculous. And then when I want to wear it, if you saw the last episode, you know how that goes down.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be better about weaving in ends when I actually finish the garment, so that it's just done and ready to wear immediately.
So in terms of warmth level, what would you say the warmth level of this vest is? It's kind of a cold day.
I haven't worn it outside yet. I just finished. I'm still finishing it. So I couldn't say just yet. I haven't worn it outdoors, but in the house, I'm perfectly comfortable.
Yeah.
But no, I think it'll be really warm. I mean, it's full.
Because it's nice, cozy yarns.
Yeah. So we'll see. After I actually take it out for a test run in the real world, I'll let you know about how warm it is.
And what is the name of this vest going to be?
Oh, so the placeholder name has been Purple Vest, and I don't know that I have another name yet.
So it might end up being Purple Vest.
It just might be.
Purple Vest it is. I love the textures on it though. That is what is really setting off. And somehow it kind of frames and sets off the intarsia. I'm like, wow.
I like it. And I was going to do the color work on the back too, and then Lisa asked me, "Oh, are you doing the color work on the back?" And then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, I don't have to." I don't know why. For me, it was just the default to make the front and the back the same. And then when Lisa asked, it occurred to me, it's like, "Oh, wait, no, I don't have to go through all that again." No, and so the back is just the plain post stitch.
We'll get some pictures of it so you guys can see.
Yeah, so that was nice to not have to do the intarsia. It wasn't hard, but it's just fiddly. It's a little fiddly.
Yeah, and it was new. It was a brand new technique for you. So it's going to be a little bit fiddlier than it would be if it was something you'd been doing,
But I'm really happy with how it came out.
So what I've got on right now is my Over Easy top. It's an Espace Tricot pattern. It's a free pattern. And I did everything they said except use the yarn they recommended. So I didn't even change much on this one. But funny story, I had been invited to participate in a yarn store owners panel at Vogue Knitting, and I didn't have a new garment to wear, and I knew everybody was going to be wearing their hand knits. So 7 days.
You know, you have to make something to wear, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. She goes, with that same tone, you have to wear that.
I was like, everyone else is going to have on a handmade sweater.
So I was able to crank this bad boy out in 7 days. 7.
What size needles did you use?
15. And I specifically looked for something done at a bulky gauge. So
did you finish it the day of?
Night before.
All right.
And it didn't need to be blocked because it's made of cotton. I took every shortcut you could possibly take.
See.
I made it at a slightly bigger gauge than they asked for. And what I did was, this is Cumulus. And I held it double. And then I added a strand of a sparkle yarn that we had in to it. So I got a slightly bigger gauge than they called for, and I upsized my needles. Actually, I didn't. I thought I did because I thought I was using 15. So you know what it is? I always cross the millimeter size.
Yeah.
So I use 15 millimeter needles, which is a US 19. We should switch to the measurement. It caused way less confusion. US 19. So it was like knitting with 2 small broomsticks. And it's crap. You know what? Ordinarily, I actually would not make something like this, but I'm glad I did. And I went with it only because it had very simple shapes. And I have it, it's kind of cropped. And I figured I would be able to crank it out in the 7 days I had. And I was right. But it's warm, it's cozy, it's fluffy. I would not call this a genuine sweater. It is more of a poncho with sleeves.
We had a discussion about that when she was making it. And so the whole time she's arguing with me, she's like, no, it's a sweater, it's a sweater. And then after she made it, she wanted me to take a picture of her for her to post. And she looks at the picture, she goes like, this is a swancho.
Yeah, I was like, it's a swancho.
Yeah.
But it's really comfortable. I like that it has a lot of ease, and you would think, oh my God, you're gonna look swamped in it. No, you wear it over layers of things, or you wear it with closer fitting pants, and I just kind of love it. So whenever it's like coolish, like it is today, it's kind of cool and damp. This is something I can put on as a go-to, and the Cumulus cotton is super soft. So I'm gonna link to the Queensland Rainbow Beach in the description box below for the yarn crystal use, because we have some in the shop, and I will also link to Cumulus because it's a worsted weight and I doubled it up to make it bulky, and it's just delicious to wear. So that's what I'm wearing today. You have something else, Crystal.
So I finally, last week I said all I have left to do on my skirt that I was sewing was put in the waistband. So I put in the waistband. So I guess technically I finished my skirt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Like, this is just like, so sewing is so weird for me. But I'm just like, did I actually just make a thing? I don't know. It just seems, I don't know. Sewing just seems inscrutable. And so I don't know.
But only it's not actually inscrutable because you screwed it.
You see what I deal with? Okay. So this, you really kind of have to see it on. So I have so many garments that I have to photograph that I'm just like a little overwhelmed thinking about it.
It's hard. It's hard.
I'm gonna have to get around to doing that.
You can do it.
But it's pencil skirt. And then I did this modification so that it has a drawstring side ruching. And it has it on both sides. I just haven't ruched this side. But it's just a pencil skirt. It comes down a little bit past the knees. It fits really well. I'm surprised. That was the thing I thought I had the most trouble with. As a matter of fact, at first it was like way too big. So I had like a ridiculously big seam allowance. But that ended up working out because I used that seam allowance to do the channels for the drawstring.
Mm-hmm.
So all's well that ends
Quick
well.
question: did you pick the wrong size? Is that why it was too big?
I think so. I must have.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but I think I got mixed up with the ease,
Yeah.
and I had a few extra inches.
But it worked out because you
So,
had plans for extra inches anyway.
yeah. So that worked out. I hated doing these drawstrings. I couldn't turn them inside out. My mom had to do it for me. She took a knitting needle and she did the thing and she flipped them inside out. Because, I just took a rectangle, folded it in half, and stitched it. And then it has to be flipped inside out. So I tried, she did one for me to show me how to do it. And I tried the second one. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to have to learn this skill later. And I just gave her the drawstrings. And it seemed like minutes later, she just handed them all back to me. And I was just like, really? Could you have pretended it was a little more difficult
So
just
you're
to make me feel
happy
better?
and mad at the same time.
A little tiny bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I just couldn't get it. Like I couldn't get that little end to go in so that the whole thing would flip. And it wasn't happening. So like literally I couldn't have finished this skirt without my mom. Like literally. But it, the machine did not burst into flames. So that's
Which
good.
was a real worry.
Okay. So they kept asking me, Mommy and Lisa kept asking me, like, why are you so worried about sewing? What's the worst that could happen? And I said, well, the worst thing that could happen would be the machine would just suddenly burst into flames and take the fabric with it. And they were like, that's not even a thing. Like that, that's not gonna happen.
That's never gonna happen.
But if I'm being asked what's the worst thing that could happen, I mean, if we're considering the full expanse of the multiverse, there is a version of me wherein the machine I was working with did burst into flames, just so we're clear, because every possibility is a reality.
We don't live in the TVA. Okay.
So I just would like to point that out. My fellow nerds are feeling me right now. But yes, that was my worst case scenario, that somehow I did something so bad that like first there would be a little bit of smoke and then all of a sudden it would go
it's a little curl.
Yeah. That was my like gravest concern, but I was also just concerned about like damaging the fabric or whatever. And they also made fun of me for buying like a lot of extra fabric.
She could have made drapes.
I couldn't, not that much. Oh my gosh. But anyway.
For one window.
And there was a tiny little hole in my fabric. I still don't know when or how it happened. I'm assuming it's something I did, but I wasn't aware of it when I did it. And then one day I just go to my skirt and you know how little kids, they have those tantrums.
Can we see the hole? I've never seen the hole.
Throw themselves on the floor and they're kicking and screaming. I really wanted to do that. It was a near thing. Now, do I know where the hole is right now?
So that's what kind of opening this is in the skirt.
Because Mom did a quick fix repair on it. So it's better now. But there's a hole. Anyway.
That she can't find. That's
at the moment, that's on the spot. Like
someone called it the Grand Canyon once, as I recall.
That's what it felt like, Lisa. I was in the middle of the project. So I was just,
you were having a moment
working through this skirt and trying to learn how to make a thing. And, it's going okay. And, it's one step forward, one step back kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then one day you go to pick up your fabric and there's the biggest hole that's ever existed in humanity.
There we go.
Like literally, we were all in danger of falling into it.
The same hole that cannot be found right now. It's Schrodinger's hole.
You know what? I hate you. Just a little bit though.
Just around the edges.
Yes. But anyway, that was okay. So the machine did not burst into flames, but the hole is a bad thing that actually did happen in reality. Right. And we should acknowledge that.
Correct.
Because it's like in the middle of the fabric somewhere. So you couldn't fix it. It would just be a matter of like, the sides were stitched together already. So I would have had to literally make the whole skirt again if I wanted to replace the part of the skirt that had the hole in it. So that was a bad thing. And I would have needed that extra fabric. Would just like to point that out.
How many times could you recut the front of the skirt?
I don't know.
Mm.
I'm not entirely certain. But
the skirt is lovely, by the way.
Last week, was it that I showed the patterns that I got?
Yeah.
I got some patterns for $1 each that I'm very excited about. And I have a couple of things that I think I can make out of this fabric. So I think I might make pretty much a second outfit out of this fabric, which is great because that's a bargain. The fabric was 50% off when I bought it because fabric is like ridiculously expensive. And I'm just when did this happen? So it all works out that I have some extra fabric. Thank you very much. Because I've said before, I'm not going to just go buying a lot of fabric. I plan to buy fabric for each project. So once I decide, I'm going to decide what I want to make first, and then I will buy fabric accordingly. But right now I have a few things that I can make, and I don't currently have to shop for fabric. I can just, I suppose that is my whole stash is this one fabric.
It is.
So, but I can use it now to make something else.
You know what? It'll be kind of cool because you'll have pieces that you can just mix and match.
That's the idea.
If you buy thoughtfully, you can buy things that will also coordinate with this. So you can actually expand this into a whole little wardrobe.
So now I've finished more or less with a little bit of tweaks here or there, 3 things.
Nice.
So far, and I feel really good about that. And I said last week that I think I want to work with my crochet thread, even though I'm entirely intimidated by that prospect.
Did you get a chance to look on the Circular website?
I didn't.
You got it. Check out crocheters. If you like making garments, check out Circular's website. They have just a plethora of beautiful garment patterns, and every last pattern is free. Oh, and they have knitting patterns too, and all the patterns are free.
So I'm thinking I maybe want to make a dress.
Mm-hmm.
Dresses are still challenging for me. I feel comfortable with tops for the most part because I feel like they're really basic shapes, and I don't know. I haven't done any, I don't know, exotic tops, but I can do a basic top. Dresses still.
You did do that cashmere wrap top. That was a really different shape.
That was crazy. Honestly, it was a shrug. Basically, you make a rectangle and you fold part of it to make sleeves, but then you have to put it on in a certain way, and it crisscrosses in the front. There was a video online showing how to put it on,
and you needed the video.
But I feel like dresses are just a little bit more complex because, they have to fit over the whole body, which means shaping, and they have to be different sizes in different areas. Mm-hmm. And I'm still just learning how to do that. I'm most comfortable still making rectangles. But I want to be more comfortable making dresses. So, I want to be able to make anything that I want to make, mm-hmm. Crocheting.
That's why I was also recommending the Circular website, because they have hordes of crochet dresses.
That we'll see. But the funny thing, usually I have a little basket. We did a video that was our haul from a knit sheet when we closed. And a lot of so I have all of that in a basket together. And a lot of what's in there, I have an idea at least what I want to make with it. Mm-hmm. But I just made this decision that I wanted to do something with my crochet thread, and I have less of an idea of what I want to do with the crochet thread. So I have other things that I could just flip to right now and start working on. But one, like I said, I want to try the crochet thread just because I have been putting it off. And so I'm kind of building it up in my mind to make it this monumental terror. And I'm just you know what? It's time to just confront it.
Yes.
And secondly, I do want to make some lighter weight things as we are going into spring and summer. and I have no idea how long it's actually going to take me to finish something. So I need to get started now. So I think it's a good time to break out the crochet thread. So we'll see what happens there. But it's a weird feeling to not just like jump to my next project.
Yeah.
Because I have like such an extensive like queue in my head that I can just jump from one thing to the next. So the crochet thread, you can see it's pulling me up short. I'm just like, I don't know what to do with it.
You'll figure it out.
I hope so.
You'll find a lot of
I
inspiration.
have a little bit of it. And that's another thing. I don't know how much it's going to take to like make a top in my size or make a skirt in my size or what have you. And that's just because I haven't worked with it before. Well, not in like a million years. So I don't have just like this general, I don't know if what I have is enough.
Yeah.
In any one color. Now I can combine colors and do stripes or what have you. And
intarsia now.
And intarsia. I'm sure I'll be fine. But I don't know if like what I have in one, because I have 6 packs of, balls of the crochet thread. And I believe each ball in a pack is like 300 and something yards. I forget. Like low 300.
You have scads of yarn.
So do I?
Yeah.
At that gauge, do I? I don't know.
Think about it. There's 6 balls in a pack.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got at least 1,800 yards in every bag. And you have how many bags?
I only have 1 bag of each color.
Yeah, but that's like 6,000 yards of yarn.
We'll see.
Yeah. Sheesh.
I have to learn my way around
that gauge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know which hook I'm supposed to use. I have a set of the steel crochet hooks from the people that I like, the
Clover.
Yes, the Clover Amore hooks. But I think the smallest one might be like 0.6 millimeters.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I must just say it this one last time. Visit the circular website because they work at that gauge, and it will kind of inform you about how much yarn it will take, what size hooks to use to achieve what effect. Okay, you're tapping.
I know. I'm like
gently rapping at my chamber door.
That's what it does to me. That's what it does. Just thinking about it, I'm just like, oh. But like I said, I gotta push past this. So I'm gonna just go ahead and pick up my thread and see how it goes.
Why don't you do a swatch with the different hooks?
Yeah.
And see what you're getting. That might be a place to start. You can do it. I believe in you.
I mean, imagine, having yarn such that fingering weight seems big. And now I'm like, I could just do something in fingering weight. But okay. I can go up to fingering weight.
Woohoo!
Yes. I'm not gonna lie. I am intimidated by it, but I don't want to be any longer.
Exactly. Don't let that thread push you around.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump on it.
Okay. That thread's not the boss of you.
That's where I am in my making right now. So far I made a sweater vest and a cardigan, and I sewed a skirt, and now I'm going to face my fear of crochet thread and try to make something with that. And we'll see how that goes. I feel like Lisa's gonna be laughing at me a lot.
Yes, absolutely. But it's okay. You laugh at me all the time. So I feel like you laugh at me more than I laugh at you.
I don't think that's true.
So I'm thinking about it.
I feel like I laugh with you.
Oh no.
You laugh at me.
Oh no, you laugh at me all the time. So I'm not even worried about you. So I did a second video this week.
Oh yeah, the flip through.
Yes, I did a flip through of the new issue of Pom Pom Magazine.
That has no crochet in it.
This one has no crochet in it. I am so sorry, guys.
Apparently crocheters aren't allowed to use mohair, I guess. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I didn't want to get that started, but it has no crochet. And I'm very surprised because from the beginning, they've always had at least one crochet project in here. The projects are lovely, and they have kind of turned my head. because I want to do a project in mohair. So I want one really sweet, dreamy mohair sweater. And I had one all picked out. I even sketched it.
And
then I saw this one. And it's sort of like,
did you pick yarn
captured...
for your Q jumper?
Oh,
the press flowers show?
Actually, I'm gonna end up doing it in ultra wool.
Okay. Because it looks like you just got another Q jumper turning your head right now.
It's turning my head a little bit. It's turning my head a lot bit.
A lot bit, Lisa?
A lot bit. But it's still a mohair project, so I will be in the wheelhouse that I had chosen. So for me, it's like, oh, okay, this you just wanted to work in the mohair. I really like this one.
That's cute.
It's super cute.
I like a lot of the projects that were in this issue.
And it's my style. This is what I would wear anyway. I don't remember the name. That's why I'm like frantically flipping through the book.
Tag the pages.
You have
a whole little container. If you watched our videos at the store that we used to do on Instagram on IGTV, you'll know that she has a little case.
Oh my God, you are not bringing that
little
up.
Tags in it, all kinds of page tags. Some have little bears or whatever on them.
Oh,
so she has plenty of tags for just such an occasion. So I don't know why she don't just tag the pages as needed.
Anyway, here it is. I think she's so cute. I don't know if I would make it striped, but
I like the stripes. I don't like that dress version. That's
actually I like the dress. And the dress, check out the video, because I go through every pattern, and both the top and the dress are in the same pattern, and they're called cloud bow. But I might switch my mohair project to cloud bow. Okay. Because I like her. I just thought they did an overall just beautiful job with the photography. Everything stands out against its background. Mom and I were talking about Morat magazine, and that's a small problem I have with Morat magazine. They kind of choose a background that blends with the pattern so much. Sometimes it's hard to see. Did you find the canyon?
I did.
Okay, guys, you got to see this. This is the Grand Canyon. This is the hole
I hate you.
We were going to be in danger of falling into.
No, hold on.
Put your finger on it.
Shut up.
When she lifts her finger up, you'll see it.
See, right there. Hold on. I got it. Right above my index finger, there's a tiny little. You know what? Okay, never mind. But there's a hole, and when I saw it, my feelings were hurt. And there's a hole.
Yeah. Yep. There's a hole.
And because my mom fixed it, we did not fall into it.
It was that.
So my mother has saved the world, just so you wanted to know.
Major hole. I'm going to link to this on our website. So that if you'd like to get a copy, we have some copies in stock. Because the hole nearly sucked us in again. But if you want to watch the flip through, I will also link to the flip through video. And I just go through each pattern and talk about what kind of yarn it takes and how many colors, because they did beautiful color work. There's lace, if you like lace. They did one pattern in a combination of linen and mohair that I adore. I haven't worked in linen and mohair, but I worked in a linen silk and mohair. OMG, what a beautiful feeling fabric. So lots to explore there. There's some winners in this one, and I really, really like it. So that cloud bow might jump the queue, because what I had planned.
Would that be before or after pressed flowers, though?
I don't know yet. I had planned the cherry sweater as my mohair project. Let me see if I can get my sketch up there. I had planned the cherry sweater, and what would go under it is the ripple cami from Jessie Made. And now I'm thinking it might be cloud bow, because I am easily influenced by pretty patterns. And they just call my name. And when they say my name, what else am I supposed to do if not turn my head?
Lordy.
What else am I supposed? What's a girl to do?
I don't know. I don't know.
So do check out our video. I will link to it in the description bar. And I have one more special going on in the shop this week. I had a surprise bag sale last year, and it was like people really liked it. So I'm bringing back the surprise bags this season. Only I've upsized them. So I have 3 sizes going. There's a fun size bag where you will get 200 grams of yarn. You have no idea what yarn it will be. It's a surprise when you open the bag. So the only hints I will give is that it could be any combination of yarn that adds up to 200 grams. So it could be a 200 gram cake. It could be 200 gram skeins, 450 grams. Who knows? I did a grande, which is 400 grams of yarn. And I also did a venti, which is 600 grams of yarn. So if you like surprises, I got one for you. And I will also link to the shop link where we have the surprise bags. And if you want to know how to find out about our sales and specials and classes and whatnot, do sign up for our newsletter. All the juice goes in there. And I've also launched a new class. It's called How to Work a Pattern. One of the things people said to me a lot when we were in the shop is that I don't know how to work with patterns. I can't work with patterns. Patterns boggle my mind. So I did a class. I created a class where we will have a walkthrough of how to work with a pattern and how, because you know what? I've had patterns where I didn't even know exactly what part of the thing I was working on. So yeah, it was very, very vague. Your girl used to mess with a lot of free patterns. Okay, let's just put it out there. Your girl used to mess with a lot of free patterns. You know when you first discover free patterns and you just run around everywhere collecting them? Sometimes there's a reason why it was free. I'm just going to say that. So, I have several sessions up on the website, and I will also link to the website. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And I'm almost done with my shawl. Oh my God, I'm coming into the last 4 repeats of that 30-row repeat. So I'm hoping that next week when we're back, I will be wearing my shawl.
I hope so too. See, you set a target date.
It may not work out though, just so you know.
Because last week when I said I was going to finish my shawl by the time I filmed this episode, you were like, whoa. I'm like, that was just, I have a target date.
Well, I was working on it the last couple of days, and I was like, all right, it's coming in. And now that the rows are so much shorter, it's like, oh my gosh.
It's so wide. Oh my gosh.
And I didn't add a single stitch to it. It's just that I made the yarn bigger.
Yeah.
But
you embiggened it.
I embiggened it, and it's so enveloping. I'm already wrapping it around me.
It's very pretty.
While I work on the last point. So the sizing is just right. Because you know what? I don't like, as a bigger person, some of those shawls aren't big enough for me. And I'm just clutching
the knit shawls, because if you see the crochet shawls out there, they're like blankets, and I'm like, where is you wearing that?
But like everything is relative, you know. You need to have enough shawl to wrap yourself in if you're going to be bothered making a shawl.
That must be an issue among knitters, because sometimes I see crochet shawls and I'm just like, you blocking out the sun with that one, girl.
But you know what the problem is too? People think that shawls don't need to be sized, and that is completely untrue. Shawls are like scarves. They need to be in proportion to the person that's going to wear them. So,
and how it's going to be worn.
Yes.
Because it's not every shawl or everything that calls itself a shawl that you can just put the triangle point down and wrap it around your neck.
Yes.
Because after a certain size, you look insane.
It's like built up like, and if you have a short neck like me, you just don't have the neck for that.
So you also have to think about, like, Lisa plans to wrap this shawl around her body. So it makes sense for it to be a bigger shawl. But if it's something that's just supposed to go around the neck, this would be, if she put this thing around her neck, people would be like, Lee, you need to talk about anything?
You're right.
Should we put the fork on the fork?
That's a reference to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. For those who don't know, there was a character called Rupert who needed a cork for his fork.
Okay, don't get me started thinking about that movie. Okay, Michael Caine and Steve Martin should never be allowed in the same room together.
They should not be allowed to, Steve Martin's mother should have said, you don't get to play with that Caine boy anymore.
No, it was insane. It was funny, but it was just too much.
It was absolutely delightful. If you can find it on Netflix or something, it's worth a look. You will be laughing all the way through.
Just think about how you intend to wear a shawl when you are considering the size. Because after a certain size, just wrap it around you. Don't just try to fit it around your neck.
No, it's too much. And you also have to consider your size, because petite people have the same issue. It's just way too much shawl. And one of the things we had around the shop with samples is that we had shawls in different sizes for different people or for different styles of wear. Because if you want to wear it like a bandana, you don't need something that actually droops down to the floor, that you have to find a way to wrap all of that around you. So that's that with the shawls. But
so shawls do need sizing.
They do need sizing. That's the whole point of that whole story. Shawls need sizing. Oh, what else you got?
I think that's it. I mean, I could talk about other things, but
what you got?
I never want to I don't want to do drama.
Oh no, I don't do drama either. But what you got? You
got some drama? What we were talking about with the commercial yarn.
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So here's the thing. There's always a lot of back and forth about knitting being expensive, and people want other alternatives for less expensive yarn, or some people the trendy yarns or what have you. And I was watching a video with someone showing a yarn haul that they did, and she went on a yarn crawl, and she was doing a haul video showing everything she bought on her yarn crawl. And she apparently only buys hand-dyed yarn. And so she mentioned that one day of the crawl, she went to 3 different stores, but the second store, she didn't buy anything because that store had a lot of what she called commercial yarn. And I just took exception with the term commercial yarn. My problem is not with her or with her buying the yarn that she likes or spending what she wants on yarn. That's not the issue. I just think there's a misunderstanding about what the term commercial means, because if you are buying it, it is commercial. It is for sale. And the dyers are buying their bases from companies that are wholesaling this yarn, and they're buying these bases in bulk. A lot of dyers are buying the same bases. So you're paying for their artistry, their imagination, their creativity, and that has value. And I love hand-dyed yarn. I absolutely do. I love speckles.
Hand-dye Hannah over here.
I love speckles. Oh my gosh, just give me all the speckles. But and yes, people do you actually wear, if you buy those crazy colors, yes, I wear speckles. But so buy whatever you like, use whatever yarn you like. But sometimes I think there's this mistaken notion about what hand-dyed yarn is, and that people think they're actually getting a different yarn from what companies like Berroco or whomever are selling. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, companies like Berroco have the money to pick certain fibers and have them spun. They can be more selective about the fibers that they're choosing.
Right.
Hand dyers are buying, undyed yarn in bulk, and there's only so much of that to go around. Yes, and I know some dyers do progress to the point where they can have their own yarns made for them. So they are, choosing their own fibers and putting together certain fiber blends, and that's great. But a lot of people are just, buying yarn wholesale and dyeing it, and that is commercial, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I felt like the term commercial was being used as a pejorative.
Yeah.
And that is completely unnecessary. And it just kind of shows a misunderstanding of what it is you're getting when you get hand-dyed yarn. You're getting something beautiful and you're getting something of value, but you are also purchasing something commercial because it is for sale and necessarily commercial by definition.
Mm-hmm.
And I did under that attitude is kind of, I don't know. It felt like she was kind of looking down on like a whole category of yarn. And it is her right to buy the yarn that she likes. This is not an issue for me at all. But her yarn isn't in a different category. That difference that she's making, that distinction, is false. It doesn't exist. She is also buying commercial yarn. Hand-dyed yarn is also commercial yarn. Unless you are shearing a sheep in your backyard, and making your own yarn from that yourself, you are getting commercial yarn, whether it is hand-dyed or from a larger company, or larger compared to an indie dyer, because some of these companies just don't have that many employees, it turns out.
Nope.
Kelborn. We bought some yarn from Kelborn. It's a sport weight, but they had mislabeled it and it said DK. So we contacted them and we were like, is this sport or DK? And the woman, the two women who run it, very nice. And she was like, oh no, it's definitely a sport weight and we'll go ahead and change those labels. Why? Because they print those labels themselves. Like it's two women making Kelborn woolens work. And that's a larger company compared to, just one person literally like dying in a room in their house
and their family, putting everything together,
pressing their family into service. But it's still a very, very small. It's put in the small and small business because they are printing their own ball bands.
She's like, oh, I got to go in and change that.
Yes,
on the form. I was like, oh, okay.
So you can make these distinctions between the size of the company. Anything bigger than one, I guess, than one person is considered a larger company in the fiber industry.
There's 5 of y'all.
But it's all commercial. All of the yarn that you are able to buy, you're buying it because it's a commercial object available for sale. So I guess I was confused about what she thought she was getting when she buys hand-dyed yarn that she finds preferable to, yarn from non-indie dyers.
Right.
Because I've been, the yarns I've been using lately, I'm still heartbroken that Angora Lace is being discontinued. I don't know who was behind that decision, but I'm really happy with the Queensland.
And I'm honestly, Queensland is not something you would have chosen. Because it's not, when you feel it in the ball, it doesn't have the super duper soft hand.
Yeah. It's just because I always worry that I'll itch.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. Like either the yarn makes me itch or it doesn't. And the good yarns don't make me itch and the bad yarns make me itch. That's my only distinction. But I just, I know that some people, like this woman, I know she just likes what she likes and that's what she buys because she likes it. But some people, for some reason, feel pressured to buy indie dyed yarn, to buy more expensive yarns. And you shouldn't, because there's a lot of really beautiful yarn out there at all the price points.
Yes.
And I know some yarn stores really, a lot of their inventory is indie dyed. And so I know that sometimes puts people off from going to the yarn store because they feel like, they're not going to be able to afford anything in there. Or like I've heard people say, oh, you can't go into such and such a store without, leaving $200 behind. And you have to carry what your audience likes. You get to know after a while what works in your, like we bought some really large yarn that was meant for arm knitting. Didn't sell. We didn't have arm knitters. We didn't have people who were making things at that scale. Eventually, you get to know what the people in your area want. So if you have enough demand to carry a lot of indie dye, then by all means do so. But as a yarn store owner, you can't feel pressure to only carry this yarn, which is also more expensive for you to carry, when there's a lot of great options out there. And so I think people, people who are buying yarn and people who are selling yarn, all are going to have to start being a little bit more open-minded. Yes. Because it's all commercial. Like, all of it. I didn't understand her use of that word. The indie dyed yarn is commercial.
I signed up for a conversation, a chat about classism in yarn.
Where? Who's offering that?
Event. It's on Eventbrite. Willie Wormhead was leading it, and I didn't catch it live, but she sent me the replay link, and I'm going to take a look at it.
Yeah, I
this afternoon
watch that too.
But there is a lot of classism in yarn, and it's funny to me as someone who has done some reading about fiber arts in general, that it started out as a survival thing. So it was a women's thing. It was laborious and repetitive, and you had to just do it pretty much all the time to accumulate enough stuff to weave and make cloth and sew and all of that. When it became a moneymaker thing, it became a men's thing, and women literally weren't allowed in knitting guilds and crochet guilds and all of that. Then it moved to the lower classes because they were the people who were literally like knitting and crocheting for survival. And it kept that lower class thing until upper class women did it as a leisure activity. And it's been stuck with upper class women for a very long time. And that's where we get this kind of stratification about who buys what yarn, who's welcome in yarn stores. So, and in this country, it ties racism and classism together. It's one of those intersectionalities. I didn't think I'd say that in conversation. But so you have all of that piled on top of the string.
But all of that. Always, always, always buy the yarn you like. Buy the colors you like, buy the fibers you like, buy the gauge you like to work at. Like, always, always, always buy the yarn you like. But do you actually like it, or do you think of other yarn as commercial, and so you buy one thing,
or feel like, oh well, if I'm a real knitter, I have to use this yarn over here,
and you don't have to use the yarn in the pattern. You just don't. You don't always have to use the yarn in the pattern.
One of my things when we were shopping for yarn for the store was always to have great fiber and all the price points. So sometimes somebody would come and they would say very quietly, I like this yarn, but do you have anything that's not quite this expensive? And I'd go, oh, okay, no problem. The budget is the budget. And I could show them 3 or 4 other options that were equally nice, but just at different price points. And I think that if you're shopping in a yarn store where that's not available, move on to the next one down the street where you can find, if you want natural fibers, they're not a super premium. If you want something washable and you dare to say, oh, you know what, I'm making this for my niece who likes to play outside, I need something washable, and they look at you cross-eyed, move on to the next yarn store down the street, because garments need to be practical and wearable. And if you know that the person you're intending to knit it or crochet it for is not up on the latest washing techniques,
But okay,
go for it.
Because that's the thing. People use this term.
Oh no! Oh, girl! I know which one.
A lot of people use this term. They call a person knit-worthy. And it's knit-worthiness is not seemingly a reflection of, I have affection and esteem enough for you that I'm going to hand make this, time intensive garment for you. But it is that you are going to labor to care for the garment because I labor to make it. Making something for another person is a choice, and you either do it or you don't. But you don't gift someone a chore. So if you want to make something for a person because you want to gift them something that you've made, choose a yarn that doesn't require a lot of special care.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure why that's not the calculation, as opposed to weighing and measuring this individual. That has always confused me, because I'm a lot put off by the term knit-worthy. Because it's like, now it's just like, okay, you got to wonder if every knitter is just like sizing you up when they meet you, like, And I'm just like, oh, that's off-putting. That's unwelcoming. I personally don't like the use of that term. That was a new thing to me when we opened the yarn store. I'd never heard that term before. And I just think, again, make something for the person that just doesn't require special care. Use a superwash wool, something that they can put in the washer or dryer, instead of, insulting them.
Or a nice woolen acrylic blend or cotton that can be washed and dried.
Yeah, maybe if y'all have a better or a different understanding of the term knit-worthy, feel free to explain it to me in the comments, because yeah, what's that about, people? I was really, yeah. But it just goes back to, making the right choices in the yarn store and not letting yourself feel pressured. And for some reason, a lot of knitters do like put a lot of pressure on themselves over what they make and how they make it, and whose designs they're using or what have you. And I'm just like, are y'all having any fun? I'm having a blast when I crochet, let me tell you.
I'm having fun. I am flittering from one project to the next, depending on how I feel that day. I'll tell the truth. But it should be fun. And if it's not fun, you got to ask yourself, why am I doing this if it's not fun? Now, I can understand if you're kind of wrestling with a project. Some projects, man, they're demanding. And it may not be fun in the moment, but once you've gotten past whatever the hump is, you're like, yes.
And like the sweater Mom's making, because Lord knows,
Whew.
We all went through it with her. it was like, if you ever seen the movie Never Ending Story, you know how a little boy is following along on all the adventures with Atreyu. That was like us. Mom was making the sweater. She's still making it, but we were there with her every step and every day. Like, I took out 2 rows today. I took out 3 rows today.
Yeah. Especially in that bottom section.
She really wanted to learn how to do that design. And so she stuck with it because she wanted to. I don't know. There's a lot going on in knitting, I have to say, that I'm just still learning to understand. That's all. But I really feel like y'all should stop calling people knit-worthy or not knit-worthy. That's upsetting. But like I said, if you have a different understanding of the term knit-worthy, please let me know. Because it's bandied about so casually, I don't think anyone else has a problem with it. It seems to just be me.
It might just be you.
It's like, well, how do you feel about it?
I never thought about it really. It wasn't an issue for me, but I never knit in groups until I had.
So when you came across this term, what did you think?
I understood what it meant, that the person didn't take care of the thing and you wouldn't knit for them anymore.
And if you knew that.
But you don't find out until they ruin the first thing.
But they don't know if the person
doesn't know. Yeah.
That's the thing. If you're knitting for someone who doesn't knit or crochet or handle fiber, but upset with them for not knowing what you know, because you do knit or crochet or handle fiber.
Usually because you've already ruined a thing or two.
You either are going to have to tell them how it has to be cared for. You have to make something that doesn't have to be cared for in a special way. But either way, I feel like that's on the maker.
Yeah.
And not,
although I do know some makers who actually take the things back and wash them for the people and then give them back to them.
That's a choice.
That's a choice.
I guess you could do that if you really wanted that person to have that thing. That's very nice of you.
I know, that's amazing. The first time I heard that, I was like, serious? Oh, okay.
That is very nice.
But that's the other thing too. If you don't know yourself that there are so many other choices, because wool gets a really bad rap because some people think it's impossible to care for and it's just, super high maintenance. If you yourself don't know that there's other choices, you should be able to ask someone in your yarn store or on your online yarn store or whatnot, hey, what's easy to care for? And most online yarn stores, there will be a section in the description of the yarn to tell you what the care is. Is it washable? Is it not washable?
Because they print that really small.
They do. They do. I'll tell you the truth.
So small.
And I feel like it's hidden half the time. So
I hate the ones that just have the symbols. I always have to look up the symbols.
Yeah, I had to too. I had a chart. I had a chart with the symbols because they have the washing hieroglyphics that you're supposed to get. And I'm like, I don't speak wash hieroglyphics. So there's a lot of different things going on there, but some of it is classism. I'm just going to baseline that. Some of it is classism because it's a way to stratify people by the type of yarn they buy. And it's kind of nutso.
It's all commercial yarn.
It's all commercial yarn.
Thankfully, because then you have all these options to buy.
Yes. And, Mom and Crystal used to call me the yarn snob because I was always looking for natural fibers. But once I started trying them out, I was like, oh, this is much nicer. And I like my results a lot better. And most things held up durable. I was like, I was a beginning sock maker. I started making a busload of socks. And I thought to myself, you know what would be interesting? I had some acrylic lying around and I wanted to make some house socks. So I made those house socks. I never knew that you could destroy acrylic in any way.
As well if you walk on it.
Acrylic can't take abrasion. And just walking around in those house socks, I wore them out. I mean, like, wore a hole this big in the bottom of the sock.
Big enough to fall into?
The whole family could have driven the car into it. Like Thelma and Louise. Okay. That's going to be the name of the episode. Big enough to fall into? But I would not have known that had I not done that experiment. And since we can't all literally try out every type of fiber, I think that one of the services that yarn stores should do for people is steer them towards the right yarn for the application they want to do. Because it could be perfectly good yarn for a hat, but it might be terrible for a pair of socks that have to take that abrasion. Anyway, what do you guys think? Should we call anybody knit-worthy or unknit-worthy? No hints, Cryss. No hints. And what should the function of the help at your yarn store be? Do you want people to kind of steer you towards the right yarn for your application? Or do you just want to fall in love and figure it out on your own? Because that happens too. Anyway, I think that's it for me today. What do you got?
No, I'm good.
All right. So hopefully there won't be a hole big enough for you to fall into next week.
My mom saved us all.
She did. She saved us all. Anyway, have a great week, everybody. Oh, do like and subscribe. Share this with a friend.
You can thank my mom for saving us all by liking and subscribing.
Exactly. We are putting together that giveaway for when we hit 300 subscribers. And next week, I will show you the first thing I'm going to put in that giveaway basket, because it's going to be a basket of things that will grow. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I'm going to say it. Stay stitching.